usually happens quietly. You're lying in bed, the lights are off, and sometime during the night you feel it. A small weight settling beside you. Maybe she curls into your side. Maybe she presses against your chest. Maybe she folds herself near your feet like she's always done. Most people smile and think the same thing. She just likes the warmth. And yes, warmth matters. Cats are heat-seeking animals. Their bodies naturally gravitate towards stable heat sources when they rest. Your body temperature makes you one of the most comfortable places in the house. But if that's all it were, she could sleep anywhere. The couch, a blanket, a sunny chair. Yet night after night, she chooses you. And that choice is not casual in the feline world. Cats are biologically wired for caution during sleep. In the wild, falling asleep beside the wrong creature could mean not waking up at all. So when a female cat repeatedly closes her eyes next to someone, something deeper is happening. She's making a decision that overrides instinct. And here's the part most owners never realize. For many female cats, sleeping beside you isn't just about comfort, it's about relationship. In her mind, that quiet moment in the dark is part of a social bond, not ownership. Family. There's actually one behavior female cats show during the night, something many people sleep through completely, that reveals just how serious that bond can be. And once you notice it, you'll never look at your cat the same way again. So what is your female cat actually saying when she chooses to sleep beside you? Because in the feline world, sleep is never random. Where a cat rests, who they rest beside, and how close they allow themselves to get. All of it communicates something. Especially for female cats, unlike the stereotype of the independent cat. Female cats in natural colonies often form tight social groups. They share grooming duties, raise kittens together, and sleep in clusters with the individuals they trust most. Sleep for them is social currency. And that's why the behavior matters. If your female cat repeatedly climbs onto your bed, circles a few times, and settles beside you, she's not just looking for a soft surface. She's making a decision about proximity, about safety, about who belongs in her inner circle. In feline behavior research, attachment bonds between cats and humans are surprisingly strong. Studies observing cat-owner interactions have shown that many cats develop patterns similar to secure attachment-seeking closeness when they rest, then confidently exploring when they're awake. In simple terms, your presence becomes part of her emotional map. You are not just a provider of food, you're a reference point. And here's something fascinating. Female cats often express this bond through caregiving behavior rather than dependence. Which leads to the first thing that surprises almost every cat owner. Sometimes, when your female cat presses herself against you at night, she's not asking you to take care of her. She thinks she's taking care of you. The first reason your female cat sleeps with you might sound strange at first. She may actually believe she's looking after you. Female cats carry strong maternal instincts throughout their lives. Even when they've never had kittens, and even when they've been spayed, that caregiving wiring doesn't simply disappear. In feral colonies, females often form matriarchal groups where they groom one another, share sleeping space, and keep watch over vulnerable members of the group. Protection and closeness go together, so when your cat presses her body into yours at night, it may not be neediness at all. It may be instinct. From her perspective, proximity means responsibility. You'll sometimes notice the way she positions herself, touched tightly against your side, paws resting on you, almost like she's anchoring herself there. Behaviorists often interpret this as a caregiving posture. She's keeping you warm, maintaining contact, and staying aware of your movements. In other words, she's treating you the way female cats treat family. Research published in Behavioral Processes has even shown that cats form attachment patterns with humans similar to infant caregiver bonds. That bond isn't just emotional, it's behavioral. Cats physically stay close to the individuals they consider part of their social unit. So when your girl curls into you at night, she's not simply seeking safety, she may be offering it. And if that realization already changes how you see her, the next reason might surprise you even more. Because female cats are far more emotionally aware than most people realize. The second reason your female cat sleeps beside you has less to do with instinct and more to do with emotion. Female cats are remarkably sensitive to the people they bond with, not in the loud, obvious way dogs show it, but in subtle shifts most people overlook. They read patterns, your breathing when you walk through the door, the tension in your shoulders, the tone of your voice when you speak. Cats are masters of micro-observation. Their brains are wired to track tiny environmental changes because in the wild, survival depends on it. When a cat bonds with a human, that same sensitivity gets redirected toward you, which means something interesting starts to happen. She learns your emotional rhythm. Many owners notice this without realizing what they're seeing. On the days when you come home exhausted, when you've had a stressful day at work, when you collapse onto the bed earlier than usual, that's often the night your cat shows up faster. She doesn't ask for attention, she just settles beside you. A study from Oakland University found that cats can distinguish human emotional expressions and adjust their behavior accordingly. In bonded relationships, they often respond with proximity rather than activity. In simple terms, when your emotional state shifts, she moves closer. It's not dramatic, it's not noisy, it's quiet companionship. But in the language of cats, staying beside someone when they feel vulnerable is one of the clearest signals of connection. And if your cat sleeps in a very specific spot on your body every night, that might be telling you even more than you realize. The third reason your female cat sleeps with you is hidden in where she chooses to lie. Most people assume a cat just picks the softest spot on the bed, but cats are far more deliberate than that. Position is communication. In feline behavior, the exact place a cat rests tells you how safe and how connected she feels. Take the chest, for example. If your cat regularly climbs onto your chest and settles there, that's one of the strongest signals of trust a cat can show. Your heartbeat becomes the rhythm of her sleep. She can feel your breathing rise and fall beneath her paws. Kittens sleep like that on their mother. Behaviorists often describe this as synchronization behavior. When an animal relaxes enough to match another creature's breathing and heart rhythm, it's a biological shortcut to calm the nervous system. In other words, she's choosing the place where your body feels most alive. Now compare that to when a cat sleeps near your feet. That position still shows bonding, but with a layer of caution. Your feet give her a quick escape route if something unexpected happens. Think of it as love, with one eye open. And then there's the position near your head or neck. Cats have scent glands around their face. When she presses that close to you, she's blending her scent with yours, quietly marking you as part of her identity. You belong in her world. But occasionally, something even more striking happens. You wake up, and she's not sleeping. She's sitting perfectly still, watching the room. And that behavior reveals something most owners never realize their cat is doing at night. If you've ever woken up in the middle of the night and noticed your cat sitting upright, completely still, staring toward the door or the dark corner of the room, you're not imagining things. And no, she's not just being creepy. She might be standing guard. In feral cat colonies, female cats often share responsibility for watching over the group while others sleep. One cat rests while another stays alert, listening for unfamiliar sounds, movement, or predators. Then they switch. It's a quiet survival system. Domestic cats still carry that instinct. So, when your female cat positions herself between you and the bedroom door, or sits at the foot of the bed facing outward, that placement is rarely random. She's giving herself the widest view of the room and the earliest reaction time. Her ears twitch. Her eyes track movement. She's scanning. And here's the part that hits a little deeper emotionally. She's doing this even though she's tiny compared to almost any real threat in the world. Her brain knows that. But instinct doesn't run on logic. It runs on loyalty to the social group. In feline cognition, protecting bonded members of the group increases survival odds for everyone. So while you're asleep, unaware of the room around you, your cat might be running a centuries-old program that says, stay awake, watch the space, keep the family safe. But there's another layer to this nightly routine that almost no one talks about. Because during these quiet bedtime rituals, your cat may also be training you without you realizing it. Have you ever noticed that your cat somehow appears on the bed at the exact same time every night? Not sometimes, almost like a routine. Maybe it's right when you turn off the lights. Maybe it's the moment you settle under the blanket. Or maybe she waits a few minutes, then jumps up, circles twice, presses into the same spot beside you and slowly blinks before falling asleep. It feels natural. But there's something fascinating happening in that pattern. Cats are excellent behavioral observers. In psychology, there's a concept called operant conditioning, where actions are repeated because they produce a predictable result. Most people assume humans train animals this way, but cats do it too. Your cat experiments with tiny behaviors, jumping onto the bed, nudging your hand, settling against you, and watches how you respond. If you shift to make space, if you pet her, if you stay still so she can sleep comfortably, your response becomes part of the pattern. Then she repeats what worked. Night after night, both of you quietly reinforce the routine. She learns exactly how to keep you close, and you, without realizing it, learn how to accommodate her presence. It becomes a silent agreement, 2 species, no language, perfect coordination. And here's a question that sparks a lot of debate among cat owners. Does your cat arrive at the same exact time every night? Because if she does, it's not coincidence. It's a ritual the two of you built together. But there's another reason cats sleep close to humans that goes even deeper. One that involves biology, stress hormones, and the way animals regulate safety. There's another reason your female cat may choose to sleep right next to you. And this one is rooted in biology. When animals feel safe, their bodies actually change. Heart rate slows, muscles relax. Stress hormones like cortisol begin to drop. Scientists call this co-regulation, when 2 living beings help stabilize each other's nervous systems simply by being close. It happens between mothers and infants, bonded partners, even close friends, and it can happen between humans and cats too. When your female cat curls up beside you, she's not just choosing a warm surface, you're steady breathing your body heat. Even the rhythm of your heartbeat creates a predictable environment. Her brain interprets as safe. Safety allows deeper sleep, and deep sleep is one of the rarest things for a prey predator animal like a cat. In the wild, cats spend much of their rest in a half-alert state. Their ears remain active. Their muscles stay ready. True relaxation only happens in places they completely trust. So when your cat presses against you and drifts into a deep, heavy sleep, she's doing something biologically significant. She's letting her guard down. Your presence becomes part of the signal her nervous system uses to say, it's safe to rest now. In a quiet way, your body becomes part of her environment of safety, but the next behavior takes that trust even further. Because sometimes a cat doesn't just sleep near you. Sometimes she sleeps in the most vulnerable position possible. Now we reach a moment that many cat owners have seen, but few realize the meaning behind. Your cat rolls onto her back, her belly exposed, paws loose, eyes half closed. For a predator-prey animal like a cat, this is an incredibly vulnerable position. The stomach protects vital organs, and in the wild, exposing it unnecessarily would be a dangerous mistake, which is why most cats almost never sleep this way unless they feel completely safe. Behaviorists often describe this as full vulnerability display. It happens when a cat's brain determines that the environment and the individuals within it present no threat. And when that environment includes you, the message becomes very personal. She trusts you with the most defenseless part of her body. That's not small. For a creature whose survival instincts evolved over thousands of years, choosing vulnerability beside a human means overriding some of the most deeply wired safety mechanisms in her brain. She could sleep alone, somewhere hidden. Instead, she sleeps exposed, next to you. It's one of the purest signals of trust a cat can give. But here's where the story becomes even more powerful, because it's not just that your cat sleeps beside you once, or occasionally when it's cold. She chooses the same place, night after night. And that repeated decision may actually be the clearest sign of attachment a cat can show. Here's what makes this behavior truly meaningful. It's not the one night your cat curls up beside you, it's the pattern. Night after night she climbs onto the bed, finds her place, and settles in. That repetition is what behavioral scientists look for when they study attachment in animals. Bonds aren't defined by single moments, they're defined by consistent choices. And your cat keeps making the same one. Research from Oregon State University, studying cat-human attachment, found that many cats develop secure attachment patterns, very similar to what researchers see in infants bonding with caregivers. One of the strongest indicators of that bond is something simple: choosing proximity during rest. When an animal chooses to sleep close to someone repeatedly, it signals that the brain categorizes that individual as part of its safe social unit. In plain terms, part of family. For a species often described as independent, that's a powerful decision. Cats are naturally cautious sleepers. In the wild, they avoid resting beside anything unpredictable. Yet every night your cat ignores that instinct. She closes her eyes. She relaxes her muscles. She lets herself drift into sleep beside a creature 10 times her size. That's not just comfort, that's trust in its purest form. But there's one last detail many owners overlook. And once you understand it, you'll start paying much closer attention to your cat's bedtime habits. Because if this behavior ever suddenly stops, it might be your cat trying to tell you something important. Here's something most cat owners never think about until it happens. One night, your cat doesn't come to the bed, no soft jump onto the mattress, no circling ritual, no warm weight settling beside you. At first it seems small, Cats are independent after all. Maybe she just found a new spot on the couch. But when a female cat has built a long-standing sleep routine with you, that behavior is part of a bonding pattern. And sudden changes in that pattern can sometimes mean something in her world has shifted. Cats are creatures of stability. Their brains rely heavily on environmental consistency. When something disrupts their sense of safety, stress, illness, unfamiliar smells, changes in routine, the first thing that often changes is where they choose to rest. Sleep location is a signal. So if your cat suddenly stops sleeping beside you after months or years of doing it, it's worth paying attention. Sometimes the reason is simple: a new sound in the house, a different sleep schedule, or even a temperature change. But other times, cats withdraw slightly when they don't feel quite right physically. They instinctively isolate. It's not rejection, it's communication. So when your cat curls beside you tonight, understand something deeper is happening in that quiet moment. In the feline world, choosing to sleep next to someone isn't casual, it's a statement. In the only language cats have, she's saying something very simple: you're part of my world.